Welcome to the official TSS podcast, Keep It Simple, where we sit down every week to discuss anything and everything under the sun that has to do with personal finance. And we try to keep it simple, of course. I'm Sope, the content writer for TSS.
And I'm Pris, the graphic designer for TSS, and we'll be your host for this podcast. Hey Soap, what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about saving, but more specifically, how to save up an emergency fund. So this is pretty much something you can't do without. But before we get into that, I should probably ask you, have you ever been in a situation where you needed money urgently, but you didn't have the money?
Actually yes, because when I was in poly, I took the bus to school and then I paid for the fare in cash because I didn't have money in my EZ-Link card. And then apparently I didn't pay enough money for like the fare to my school. And then the inspector guy who comes to like scan your EZ-Link card. And then I got fined for it.
Did you have to pay on the spot?
No, you have to transfer, I think. I think you have to transfer by a certain date. And then I didn't have the money for it. So I had to ask my parents. And I got scolded.
I guess that's like a smaller version of an emergency. I feel like for me, one of these situations was about, I think it was medical related. Like, there was one time I got food poisoning and I ended up in a hospital at like 1 a.m. But I did not have enough money.
Oh, dang.
But of course, but in the end, I had to rely on my friends.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I guess on that note, thinking about all these like different moments in life where we're suddenly aware that, oh shit, I don't have money. What are some emergencies that you think you might encounter in the future?
I'm really scared of medical emergencies. Yeah, because I'm really clumsy. So I'm really scared that one day I'm just gonna fall down and then crack my head open and I have to go for a surgery or something.
That has to be a really big fall, Pris.
I mean, I'm just concerned that I'm so accident prone that it might cost me a lot of money next time.
I think medical emergencies are quite expensive, and I think like for me, some other emergencies, I think they include losing a job. Either you get fired or you get retrenched. I think that's quite a scary thought to me because that means I don't have that monthly income anymore, and people don't actually. They feel like it's something that won't happen to them, you know?
Yeah.
And then suddenly it does, and then they're like, oh shit, like what do I do? Yeah, so I think loss of a job also for me is something else that I consider an emergency. Yeah. What do you think about like your equipment breaking down? Do you consider that an emergency?
Honestly, I think that my laptop breaking down is more of an emergency than losing my job. If you lose your job, it doesn't affect you immediately. But then if your laptop breaks down and then you have like deadlines to meet, then that's an immediate emergency. Judge me.
No, I'm not judging you. I kind of get it.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's something that you're using every day. So we mentioned the emergency fund and using it for these reasons. So can I ask, do you have an emergency fund, and how many months of income is it?
Actually, I'm still in the process of saving up. I have about 3 months.
Right now?
Yeah.
That's the same as me, actually.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you anxious? Do you think it's too little?
Yeah. But then I'm
tell me
calculating in terms of my expenses. Because my expenses are much lower than my income. Essentially, I save almost like half of my income.
That's a really good amount.
Yeah, but it's hard to say also. Maybe my expenses might increase in the future. I'm really not too sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for people our age, for me personally, my emergency fund right now, it's about 3 months worth of expenses, not income.
Oh,
Because I calculate it the same way as you.
right.
I just think that if I lost my job tomorrow, I want to be able to live properly for the next at least 3 months
Yeah.
before I find another job.
But at the same
Yeah,
time, your expenses are quite different from mine because
yeah,
you're renting, right? So
yeah, that's true.
yeah, you it's unfair to compare it like that, I guess. Yeah. But of course, the more the better, right? The more savings you have, the better.
Yeah. I think in general, for our age, millennials and younger, I think it's good to aim for 3 months at least, up to 6 months. The reason is that, we don't want to channel away too much money unnecessarily right now. I think 6 months max is a pretty good threshold because we're still employable. Like, let's go back to, like, if you lost your job, we're still pretty employable, so I think we don't have to worry about that. But like you mentioned, you were saying something about your expenses might change over time, right?
Yep.
And that's true because when we get older, like after you get married, you have kids, there's a car in the picture, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
As you get older into your 30s, your 40s, I think as your lifestyle inflates because of your household, the emergency fund must also follow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or also, as an older professional, if you lost your job, I think that's worse than if you were like 25 and retrenched. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because you won't be that employable anymore. Everyone's like, no, you know what? I want the
The young
the
blood.
hot young thing. Yeah, exactly, young blood,
That's
right?
right.
And you have a lot more to compete with. So I
Mm.
think it's good to remember that right now it's okay, but as we go along, our emergency fund, it probably will have to evolve with us.
Okay, so just to clarify, what should our listeners actually save, like 3 to 6 months of expenses or of their income?
I've I think the baseline would be expenses. If you want to save 3 to 6 months of your income, I think that's fine as well. But for me, the baseline would be at least meet your expenses.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
You don't want to run out of money
Mm.
in times of trouble. That's like it's like when you were on the bus and you were like, I don't have money. It's like it's like it's a small scale event, but I think the panic is the
Yeah, the
same.
panic is
So
so the same.
anxiety central,
Yes,
you know.
incredibly.
Yeah. So, right. So we've established, okay, emergency fund 3 to 6 months worth of either your expenses or your income. Let's talk about actually saving for it.
Oh
Okay.
no.
No fear. Okay. So when it comes to saving money, there's this rule that I think you've probably heard of before that people keep talking about. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. Have
Mm-hmm.
you heard about it?
Yes, I've heard about it. I think there
Okay.
are many people who constantly hear it, but then people like me who can't save are just like, but how?
Do you
Yeah.
know? Okay, so what do you know about it? Maybe
Um
you can give it a shot.
so 50, 30, 20 is basically percentages of your income. So 50% goes to essentials, 30% goes to wants, and then 20% goes to savings. Correct?
Yes, you're right. A plus.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, that's right. Do you personally use it?
Um
Do you use this rule?
no, I don't. I actually just save whatever feels good to me, and then because I already kind of know my spending habits, so I kind of just like put aside that amount that I know that I will spend in 1 month, and then the rest I'll just save it. Yeah.
Right.
If there's any
Okay.
like wants that I want, I will just plan for it the month before, and then I'll buy it the next month when I get my pay, so that I kind of anticipate it, and then it's not like a impulse buy that was that I didn't predict. Yeah.
So, Pris, do you think you are a good saver at this point in your life?
I think not bad I mean, I'm not the best saver out there, but I think considering what I did in the past or didn't do in the past, I think I'm much better now.
I ask because it seems like there have been some reports and studies saying that, apparently Singaporeans, we are one of the best groups of savers in the world. Did you
Ooh.
know that? Yeah. DBS did
Well
that
done. Well
that
done.
study. Well done, everyone. Yes. But what's interesting is, despite this, do you remember OCBC released their financial wellness thingy last year?
No, I do not
The
remember.
Okay, well, anyway, last year OCBC released the financial wellness index, and I thought it was interesting because I was comparing, I was reading what OCBC said and what DBS said, and it seemed to be a bit conflicting because even though we are like the best savers in the world, only 51% of us can stretch our savings to 6 months worth of income. That's only half of us.
But what constitutes a good saver, right?
I think that's subjective. I
Yeah.
think that's very dependent on your goals, right? And I guess we'll go into like our own personal goals for at least for the emergency fund
Mm-hmm.
later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. I guess let's just talk a bit more about how we save. You mentioned do you save first or you spend first?
I usually when I get my salary at the beginning of at the end of every month, so I will kind of just do my usual like routine transfers. I'll transfer my parents' money, then I will transfer what I need to pay for insurance every month to like a separate bank account, and then like I will transfer my savings to another bank account. Yeah,
So basically, you do the
yeah,
saving
yeah.
first.
I'll do the saving first.
Okay, same.
Mm.
You passed, by
So,
the way. You passed the test.
thank
You
you,
can keep
thank
your
you.
job.
But anyway, I think it's because I don't want to lie to myself that I have this amount in my bank to spend. You know,
Right.
it's like a don't lie to yourself kind of thing.
It's a psychological
Yeah, it's a
thing.
psychological
You have to
thing.
get it out of the way first
Yeah.
so that you don't feel like I want to spend it.
Mhm.
So do you think you're consistent in saving money, or do you have like cheat months? Like
Yeah.
cheat days on a diet?
Yeah, I mean I'm not super consistent at all. I
Hmm.
mean like there are months where I overspend so I don't save as much. Then the next month I probably try to make it up
Right.
by saving a bit more. So personally I have my months where I have that impulse buy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to
Okay.
plan for it as much as possible.
Yeah, same. That's also what I do. Like, I think it's much healthier to like plan ahead for whatever big purchases you want to buy. That
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't look at it in terms of like cheat months,
Yeah.
rather than planning out our our big purchases. I just break down the cost of it and then I
Yeah.
just save steadily, and just put that money aside. I think it's important because I think this method will serve people better in the long run. Like you don't feel like you're depriving yourself.
Yeah,
And I think
definitely.
it's like the same thing as when you're on a diet, right? And then you're eating clean, or you're on a what do you call that? A keto diet. You're cutting off your sugar
Can't relate.
and your carbs. I know, I know. Yeah, and your body goes into shock if you just go cold turkey right away.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing for when we spend our finances. We don't want to put ourselves in that position.
I,
Yeah, so I think these planned expenses can be set aside. I think outside of what you're putting towards your emergency fund.
I think for me the most important thing that I took away, and I think it's the most it was the most helpful in helping me become a better saver, was to be more aware of my spending and be more aware of my savings. I think the most important thing that has actually helped me the most to become a better saver is to actually have a plan, like to so that we can be more aware of our spending and our saving, and not just
Yeah.
mindlessly spend every month.
So, do you remember who taught you how to save money? Did anyone teach you?
No one taught me. Like my mom used to be like, you give me the money, I save for you. Yeah. So that that's how I know.
That just sounds like an endowment plan.
Yeah, and she's the one who told me to get an endowment plan, and I got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I understand now. Okay, that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
So, I mean, then I guess that probably explains why you weren't really that great a saver in the past.
I mean, it's not all her fault lah, but
No lah, I mean
yeah,
not blaming your mother,
it's
but like
my own
yeah.
self control. So
Hmm. Okay. So can I assume or can I say that you learned how to save from your own mistakes?
definitely,
You are
definitely.
your greatest teacher.
Yeah, I think it took very long for me to really be consistent.
When
Yeah.
when did you start to become more consistent? Do you remember?
I remember it was like after 2 years, after working. So, okay, honestly, when I was a student, I didn't save at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started working, I also didn't save at all. But because I also think it's tied to how much I was earning. At that time, my expenses were like very near how much I was earning. So I I
Oh,
couldn't be bothered to save because I would be saving like what $200 only, and to me it didn't seem like worth to save, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so only when I started earning like a bit more, and when I started to have more like milestones coming out of my life, like let's say like for example getting a flat, yeah, and it made me like more kanchong to save, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me, nobody really taught me how to save either, actually.
Mm.
But it was more like I had to look at my father's own financial habits, and they weren't good habits. In fact, I don't think he is a saver at all. He is just purely 200% a spender. When I was growing up, it was kind of difficult because we wouldn't have a lot of money all the time.
Mm.
And I thought that was still okay, but it's just that his spending habits it was like rubbing salt into the wound. It wasn't
Yeah.
helping at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in a way my father did teach me in a way that,
Like he taught you what not to do.
yeah, pretty much. So
Mm.
I guess in a way that still is teaching, but I would not recommend this parenting method. So, do you think you've developed your own unique methods of saving money?
Um well actually I started doing this thing after I did my Google Excel sheets of my expenses every month. I'll actually kind of predict how much I would have saved if I were to save consistently for the next 6 months. So then I'll be like at the 6 month Google sheet and I'll be like, ooh, yes, I have so much money. So if I don't save that amount each month, right, I'll feel like I'm stealing from myself, like my future self.
Mm,
Cause then I'll look at the 6 month mark and I'll be like, actually I should have this in a bank, but I'm like kind of cheating myself, you know?
right.
Yeah, so it kind of switches the mentality of like, okay, this is my money to spend
Mm,
to like this is my money that I owe my future self.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. This is basically like delayed gratification.
Yeah, but
You're like projecting your gratification.
yeah, but then it does
Yeah.
I don't feel it if like people just tell me, oh, it's delayed gratification, your future self will thank you. I do not like it doesn't click for me unless I see the number. I realize the more I save, the easier it is to save.
Do you have any other methods?
I mean, right now it's the most effective. I also have transferred my savings to a bank which I will not mention, which has really bad UI and UX in their iBanking.
Could be any of
Could
them.
be any but then it really helps me to save because I find it like quite troublesome to log in to their account, and it's a different bank from my expenses, so it's even more 麻烦 to like transfer from this bank to another bank. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know, it's
Okay.
just the extra step that I have to take.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I think those are very good methods of controlling your spending and helping you to save better. I was also thinking about like how, if you're putting money into your bank every month, I think to remove that extra step of having to transfer your money out, you could also do like standing instructions.
Oh, that doesn't work
Gyro?
for me.
Oh no, why?
Yeah, because I'll just be like, oh, very easy to transfer back, what?
So you have to complete the act of transferring so that it
Yeah,
sinks in.
yeah,
Wow, okay.
yeah. Don't be like me, guys.
No, yeah, because I was thinking, wouldn't it be much harder? Like if you're on the edge of transferring it, and then at the last moment you're like, wait, but like maybe this money,
Oh
you know that
no.
scene in the Lord of the Rings where Frodo is about to throw the ring into the lava, and he's
Yes.
like, I can't do it, and I'm like, I feel like people, I feel like people would be Frodo. What about another method of saving? How about having a budget buddy?
Yeah, I have some friends where I'm like, I will send a photo of something that I want to buy, and then I'll be like, should I buy it? And then they'll be like, but if you already have something similar, then no. But
Right.
because it's like too expensive anyway. Yeah. I do have budget buddies in that sense, yes. So I think it depends from person to person, right? So I think the key thing is to choose a budget buddy who knows you very
That's a
well.
good point. Okay.
Yeah. And then you soap, like, how do you save?
How do I save? Okay, so firstly, I don't use the auto transfer thing. It's not because I think it won't work for me. It's just that I'm too lazy to even apply for the standing instructions, so I don't use that method. How I save is I kind of just at the start of every pay cycle, I would just set aside the money because I think I'm a lot like you. Like I already know what my expenses are, what my spending habits are. Like it's been long enough. I know what kind of spender I am and
Mm.
what I'm spending on. So that's what I do. I literally just transfer it into the bank account and kind of forget about it. It's not groundbreaking, but
Yeah, I know,
but
right?
but somehow it works. I think it's because I've been doing it for a long time now,
Yeah.
and I no
It's a
longer yeah
habit.
I don't feel the struggle anymore.
I think it's because, like, previously when you first got your pay, it's like, wow, there's so much freedom, there's so much room to play. Whereas now, right, you kind of control the amount that you have to play with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think going back to the whole like 50-30-20 thing, right? I think it's
Mm-hmm.
obviously I don't really follow that. In fact,
Yeah.
I try to save like 50% of my salary instead of just 20%. And I think uh like to your point, my expenses have definitely changed over the years. And so how I use this 50-30-20 rule, which is just a framework actually. Like it's just a starting point for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have I've adjusted it lah. Like you just tweak it, here and there. Considering all your obligations, uh your your spending habits and also your planned indulgent purchases.
Yeah.
So I've actually dug up some useful tips on how to save from both the TSS community and off the internet. So I was thinking maybe I could shoot some of these tips at you, and you can tell me if you think they will work in your.
Okay. Hit me.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Right. Okay, so one tip is to. Wow. Okay, so somebody said that they will use a safe box that cannot be opened. Set aside $100 each month. A safe box that cannot be opened.
Bro, you don't trust the bank or what?
I think it's more like they can't trust themselves. So like,
I'm. But. I mean, that's extreme. I feel like a fixed deposit would be better. Like bonds. I don't know.
fair. That's fair.
I mean, if I don't trust myself, I didn't trust myself. That's why I signed up for an endowment plan. I really know that I cannot save that time. So that's why I signed up for it.
So in a way, that endowment plan is the safe box that cannot be opened.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so
yeah.
I guess in a way, this tip kind of works for you.
I mean,
Okay.
cash in a safe deposit box. Yeah, I don't think that works for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Tip number 2. Don't spend your 13-month bonus. Save it.
I think that works. I personally spent my 13 month, but maybe I'll save half. But I think it's a good idea to not spend it anyway. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 3, stop buying bubble tea.
It doesn't work. Sorry, I can't do it. It's too much. You're asking too much.
Points for honesty. Okay.
No, actually, honestly, I did like reduce my bubble tea spending by a lot, and it helped.
All right. We're on tip 4. Tip number 4. Skip showering for the whole month and save money on your bills.
Oh my god, how does he know how I save money?
You don't shower, Chris, so that smell in the office all this time.
It was me.
And you didn't
It
say
was a
anything.
sweet smell of money.
I don't think it was sweet, but okay.
No, but okay, but honestly, like, please be hygienic. Please shower. If it wasn't clear enough, it's a nay. I do not. This does not work.
Okay, one last community tip. Spend only whatever you earn from your side hustles.
I think that's a really good one. But this is only if you have a side hustle. I think not many people have the time or the privilege to have a side hustle also. Like maybe their main job already takes up like so much of their time, and
Right.
yeah. But otherwise, I think it's a really good tip.
Okay, so can I ask what your current goal is for your emergency fund building?
Right now I want to save at least 10 to 12K. Cause it kind of amounts to about 10 to 12 months of my expenses. Yeah.
So you want to be able to survive for like up to a year if
Yeah, about that.
If-
I mean, especially if I reduce my expenses, so that will definitely last me a year. How about you, Soap?
Well, my goal currently is to I think it's gonna be about uh roughly 6K. That's the goal amount because I'm going for the 6 months of expenses thing.
Okay.
But of course, the amount may change based on how my expenses change in the coming months or years. So
Yeah.
so I think that's my baseline. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have a goal right now that you can work towards. It might
Yeah.
not be a number that's anchored to anything, but then just something to look forward to. I mean, small goals are fine also. I think it's unrealistic for someone who has zero savings for their first goal to be 10K or 12K.
I think it's very unfair to yourself if you do that to
Yeah,
yourself.
I think it's a lot of unnecessary pressure. Yeah, so take it easy.
Yeah.
So maybe we can have an overview of what we've talked about so far. What constitutes an emergency? Maybe medical emergencies, loss of job, equipment breaking down, things that affect your livelihood or essentials, and things that have an immediate effect on your daily life. Number 2, how much should I have in my emergency fund? For millennials or younger, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Or income if you can save more. Your emergency expenses will adjust with your lifestyle.
And as for how people, save money as best as they can to build that emergency fund, in summary, basically, for those who don't know how to start, 50, 30, 20, this rule is a really good baseline. You can always tweak it accordingly. You don't have to follow it strictly. Also, remember not to deprive yourself entirely. And of course, the golden rule, save before you spend. Yeah, and I think that will really help. And lastly, we just want to emphasize that goals are really important. Even if it comes to just some random number for your emergency fund, it's important to have something to work towards. Yeah. Okay, so that about sums everything up. If you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to tune in again next time for our next episode where we will be going in depth into the topic of setting financial milestones.
So follow us at The Simple Sum on Instagram and everywhere else if you want to see more from us. We'll also be asking some questions on Instagram stories and then we'll probably mention it in our next podcast. See you next time! And remember to keep it simple.